Hey friends, it's Miss Kirk. I wanted to reach out to you and talk to you a little bit about what's going on this week, week 7 in English 3. I'm a little bit under the weather, so if you'll bear with me, I did still want to talk to you about what's going on. And then I will actually, unfortunately, I'm going to be out tomorrow, so I sincerely apologize, but I'm not feeling my greatest, and I don't want to risk contaminating you guys because the entire Kirk casa is contaminated right now, and I need to take care of my son. But if you have any questions as you go through Monday, please feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But I do want you to continue with instruction just as you would if I were there. So what did we do last week? Last week we did an ACT focus on commas. So there are several comma rules that are tested. You should be getting really good at using commas and specifically using them in the ACT way. So keep in mind that as you move forward, okay? We looked at the rhetorical situation of the crucible. So we looked at the historical, social, and cultural context. We looked at the exigence. Why in the world did Arthur Miller want to do it? And why did he need to do it right now? Like, why did this story have to happen? And why did he have to use the Salem witch trials instead of just talking about like the Red Scare that he was trying to tell us about? So we started Act 1, and then in your Quarter 1 project, we looked at narrative perspectives and the impact of setting. So what are we going to do this week? This week in week 7, you're going to start out with your week 6 assessment. You're going to do at least 10 minutes on read theory and then transition into your no red ink. You do have a common lit on McCarthyism. And again, we talked about that last week, so you'd be able to bring that into this week because what is McCarthyism? How does it connect to the Crucible? You're going to understand that after you go through your common lit. Tuesday, we're going to go back to the elements of drama, and we're going to do Act 1 from Arthur Miller's The Crucible. So we'll actually get through that, read it, maybe do some parts. It will be very exciting. Wednesday, we are going to do the STAR test, and then we're going to do I want you to have as much time as you need for the STAR test, keeping in mind it is sort of a timed test, so we do have a ballpark window that of what it's going to take. But this is going to help us out, and again, this one is the one that we kind of go in and look at exactly where you stand. So we should see some growth from the first time from the last time that you took it, and we should see some growth using the read theory stuff along the way. So once you finish your STAR test, you're going to do your Act 2 close read analysis of the text. And the reason is because we do want that room to be quiet. So every person in there can give their full attention to the STAR test. So it'll be an independent activity that you do. And then we're going to move in Thursday to a character discussion. I got a little activity that we're going to do just to make sure that we are on the right track. We're going to revisit our Act 1 character map that we had. And then we're going to do an Act 2 Reader's Theater. We're going to transition into Friday. Remember, Friday is your Quarter 1 independent project work day, okay? So think of this as the coffee house. Bring in your stuff for your project. Make sure you have your book. We're going to look at planning and creating the technology part of the presentation. I'm super excited about it. If you have a device and you have already said, hey, Miss Kirk, I want to use iMovie, or you've said, hey, Miss Kirk, this is the piece of technology I want to use, I am totally okay with you using the device or the piece of technology that you want to use as long as you can produce a downloadable video file for me, okay? Totally fine with that. But just in case you don't, we have some things we're going to look at in class on the 13th to make sure we're prepared. All right, tech tip, parents, this one's for you. We are using Nearpod in class. It does help to modify instruction and engagement, and we can use it to make sure that the students are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So anytime we do a Nearpod, I'll give them a student code so they can go back in and revisit that instruction and that learning on their own time. So feel free to ask them, hey, how's that Nearpod thing going? What is it? And then what are some other things? How much has your reading grown from this year? Ask them to show you their chart on read theory. That communication between you and your child can be tremendous in producing gains. And then what is the common lit success graph? They haven't done that yet. Once we finish the McCarthyism activity, we're going to go back and we're going to look at that. They're going to have some opportunities to see where they are and where are they struggling on each of their common lits. And then what are you interested in high school? We're starting to focus on what comes next. And some students, it is college. It's been college and they've known exactly what they want all of their lives. But what if that's not for you? We want every student not necessarily to be college focused, but to be college and career focused. We want to look at what in the world do we want to do with our lives, and how can we connect the next few years of high school so that walking across that stage puts us in the direction we want to go toward meeting our goals and being able to take care of ourselves and being a productive member of society. So I think that this is a great question to start thinking about as we move forward, and it's going to help bring the focus on that ACT in a little bit better. Remember, the ACT is on the 31st, and in the state of Tennessee, they are required to take the ACT in order to graduate. So we want to make sure that we're preparing them for success as we move forward. Finally, you'll notice that I've changed the reminder section of the newsletter and brought in a spiral review. We want to make sure that we're retaining some of the concepts that we're addressing throughout the year, not just so that we can pass this week's skills assessment, but because we're going to continue to apply these skills as we move forward. So, this week, I want you to revisit Thomas Foster's idea of quest. Now, we did talk about quest when we were doing Little Red Riding Hood for our grammar review. So, I want you to try to remember, what were the 5 parts of quest? What is it, and why does it matter? You might find a bonus question on an assessment in the future that revisits that skill. Next, I want you to think about the ACT English test. It highly tests subject and verb agreement. And because of the fact that we are in this area and the way that we speak is different from the way that we write, we often miss subject and verb agreement. So, as a general rule of thumb, singular verbs end in an S and plural verbs do not. I want you to think about that as you move forward and continue looking at subject-verb agreement along the way. Again, this is a skill that we're going to continue. So with your weekly assessments, you will almost always see subject-verb agreement there, and you will almost always see that in your daily CALTIA activities. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time. My email, stephanie.kirk@bluntk12.org. I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. I'm really sorry I'm not going to be able to be there for you tomorrow, but I want to make sure that we're all well. And if we need to go back to the doctor or anything like that, then we'll be ready to do that. So bless you, my child. I will see you on Tuesday. I hope you have a wonderful day until then.